So what I'd like to do now is take you through a more detailed account of the gunman's movements on April 18th and 19th. This information has been established through the efforts of our investigative teams. At this point in our investigation, this is what we believe. If we can get you to refer to the first image. So after receiving the first 911 call, just after 10 o'clock, officers arrived in the Portapique area around 10:26 in the evening. This information gathered since the incidents occurred lead us to believe that the gunman had actually left the Portapique area through a field at approximately 10:35. So if you note there on the image that I provided, there was a witness that saw a vehicle that was traveling through a field, which was not very common. And what we've done is we've actually been able to determine through video evidence that the gunman had actually traveled a distance of approximately 26 kilometers, where he actually entered into an area in Debert, which is an industrial area. He arrived at that location at 11:12 in the evening. It's of great interest to us what the suspect or the gunman had done at that location, but we do know that he spent the evening there. We've searched that area thoroughly, but we are making a plea to anyone in that area, if they had seen anything suspicious, to please contact the police. We've obtained video evidence that shows that the suspect had left the area at 5:43 in the morning, traveling northbound on Highway 4 on his way to Wentworth. That distance was approximately 44 kilometers. Other video evidence obtained shows that the mock police vehicle is driving by a residence very close to the location where the gunman had actually killed 2 males and a female, and that happened at 6:29 in the morning. Video evidence also shows that the gunman had left the area at 9:23. We believe that the victims were killed shortly after the gunman arrived, more than 3 hours before that time. And it was near that time that the gunman had actually set fire to the residence, and it's established by the video in the area. The gunman then traveled south on Hunter Road towards Highway 4 for a distance of approximately 14.5 kilometers, where he encountered a female in and around the area of Highway 4 and Highway 224 at around 9:48 in the morning. He continued through that area from Glenholm towards Debert. And as I mentioned last Friday, this was the location where we received a 911 call about a male known to the occupants of that residence who was driving a RCMP replica vehicle and wearing a uniform. That call was received at 9:48 in the morning, and that was within the 2900 block of Highway 4 in Debert. The gunman left the area, and he did not have any contact with the occupants of that residence. So he left the residence northbound in the same direction that he had come from on Highway 4, and approximately at around 10:08, we also see this the gunman's vehicle, just before 10 o'clock, traveling through towards the Debert area. It was at that point, around 10:08, when we received additional calls that the gunman was involved in another incident right near the area that I had described before, where the gunman had spent the evening previously. So our investigations uncovered that from leaving the Debert area at around 10:08 in the morning on the 19th, the gunman then traveled along Plains Road towards Truro, crossing through Onslow, which was a period or around 20 kilometers in total. We have him on video at 10:16, 17, and 20, crossing through the Truro area. It's not our belief that he did not stop in Truro as he made his way through the city. From Truro, the gunman traveled south on Highway 2 for approximately 7 kilometers. It was at Millbrook at around 10:25 in the morning. Many of you have seen the video of the gunman exiting the replica police car, changing some of his clothing at that time, and that was at almost 10:30 in the morning. From Millbrook, we've been able to establish that the gunman traveled further south on Highway 2. We've obtained video of him crossing down or traveling down on Highway 2 south at 10:28 for a distance of about 6.5 kilometers. Our next photo shows him at 10:32 passing a gas station in the Brookfield area. From the Brookfield area, the gunman traveled again through Highway 2 for approximately 22 kilometers. It was at around 10:49 when he shot and wounded Constable Chad Morrison in the Shubenacadie area. And then shortly after that, within a few minutes, is when Constable Heidi Stevenson engaged the gunman in that immediate area. From Enfield, the gunman then traveled down Highway 224. As I mentioned before, he had stopped in at a residence of a person that he knew. He took that individual's life at that location. And of course, as I previously mentioned, he had switched his vehicle because his police vehicle, or that replica police vehicle, had become disabled. He was driving a silver SUV at the time. He changed that SUV. He discarded his police clothing, some of which was found outside the residence, some of it was found inside the vehicle. We also know that he had transferred his firearms from the silver SUV to a Mazda vehicle that belonged to his last victim, and then he proceeded south on 224 from that location. He traveled approximately 22 kilometers from the Milford-Enfield area along Highway 102, and our last video that we have of the suspect crossing is at 11:23, where we see the Mazda exiting the highway and traveling towards the Irving Big Stop. Since the last press conference, the investigation has progressed quite significantly. 5 scenes are still being held, one of which is in the Hunter Road area and the remainder in the Portapique area, as we continue our investigation.